Nigeria's status as a major crude oil producer is common knowledge. In addition to that, a large volume of gas is produced as associated gas in the course of refining petroleum. For many years, Nigerians appeared not to know what to do with this associated gas, and so very little of it was captured and utilized. The rest was flared into the atmosphere. Our experts put this extensive flaring at 75% of gas produced in the country during the 1980s. That dispensation witnessed the emission of about 70 million metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every single year. And subsequently, government came up with various measures and programs for gas utilization and ending of gas flaring. These efforts achieve a decline in gas flaring, bringing it to about 24% currently, as some records show. Against this background comes up the twin issue of environmental degradation, including deforestation and flooding, as well as health hazards and deaths occasioned by the use of wood, biomass and kerosene for cooking and other energy needs. The widely held opinion is that this is unacceptable in a country that boasts of a huge gas reserve of about 185 trillion cubic feet. It is estimated that about 112 million Nigerians still cook with wood or biomass or kerosene. We're made to understand that up to 90% of these people live in the country's rural areas, and the World Health Organization says complications from smoke inhalation from these habits are responsible for up to 95,300 deaths. Experts in and outside government say the solution to all this is switching to the use of liquefied petroleum gas, otherwise known as LPG. Now, the good thing is that this preferred solution is within reach. The challenge is that the poor cannot afford it. While a concerned group is working to ensure that these environmental and health challenges are tackled by ensuring that gas can be purchased by all Nigerians, whatever their income levels and wherever they reside. This project of substituting wood and kerosene with LPG is the subject of discussion in this edition of Nigeria Today. Time to begin the discussion. Welcome to Nigeria Today. My name is Ibrahim Adra, and today we are talking about how to help conserve the Nigerian environment and save Nigerian lives by getting Nigerians to use liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. Access Nigeria Project is a group that is deeply concerned about this matter and is here represented by Mr. Jerome Okolo, Director, Access Africa, Access Nigeria Project. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm also pleased to introduce the CEO of Oando Marketing PLC, Mr. Bayomi Awobokun. Did I get that one correct?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on the program.
Thanks for having us.
Now, let's Access Nigeria. Briefly tell me what this is all about.
Well, Access Nigeria, Access first of all stands for Access to Clean Cooking Energy Solutions and Systems. What we found out is that many of our country's problems that we would like to deal with, we almost as a reflex would like to take recourse to government. We always want to go to government for solutions to big problems. And sometimes we wait too long for government to respond to some of our problems. And some of these problems we found out are better solved if we could have a multi-stakeholder engagement of Nigerians who have the ability, the means, and the knowledge to deal with some of these problems. So Access Nigeria has come together to unite people who are concerned, people who are capable, people who are interested, to come together to deal with this problem about the switch to LPG, which you have so eloquently introduced.
All right, let me get back to Mr. Awobokun for a proper introduction of LPG, especially to the rural populace. What is LPG?
Well, LPG is one of the byproducts of crude oil, of that entire process of drilling crude oil and bringing it up from the ground. You know that Nigeria is rich in crude oil, and from crude oil you will get petrol, diesel, and LPG is one of them. LPG is the best cooking fuel. So to the rural poor, I would say LPG is better than what you use today, kerosene. It is better than firewood. It is better than charcoal. It burns without soot, doesn't spoil your house or your pot, and most especially it is better for your health because there's no fumes that you inhale, you and your kids, and that nasty smell. That's what LPG is. LPG is the safest fuel for domestic use anywhere in the world.
At the onset of this program, we did talk about some habits that have been with us for quite some time. Can you tell us briefly how these activities result in deaths?
Well, just following on from the introduction my colleague has just made, LPG burns cleanly. So you get carbon dioxide and you get water. But if you take, for example, kerosene. Kerosene was not designed to be burnt in a stove. Kerosene was designed to be burnt in a high-performing aircraft engine. And so what people have done is they've adopted that technology and they essentially soak kerosene in cloth and they set the cloth to fire. And when you burn kerosene in that way, you get a lot of soot, a lot of unburnt particles fill the air. So sometimes if you put your hand over a kerosene stove and you look at your hand, you can actually see the blackness of your hand. And if you can imagine that going straight into your lungs on a daily basis, that is why 4 persons die every hour around the world. And it is estimated that 86,000 Nigerians die directly from indoor air pollution. And I think that is 86,000 Nigerians too many to be dying from something that is totally avoidable.
How about the use of wood?
Wood has other issues. Wood, again, doesn't burn very well. So you get incomplete combustion. And when you get incomplete combustion, just with the kerosene stove, you get a lot of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is poisonous. So that's why you have a lot of people who die in their sleep sometimes because they've left a wood fire somewhere inside the house. But more than that, wood is dangerous for our development. If a woman is spending 3 hours going into the bush to go and get wood a few times a week, every week, she's exposed to rape, she's exposed to snakes, and she's not using that time in looking after her family, and she's not looking that time in improving herself. So that is something that we're all paying the price for in terms of using this type of energy, which is neither efficient nor actually fair to a large number of our own women. So as part of the MDGs, we'll actually like to push this as a women empowerment agenda to get women to spend more time on other things.
You cannot complete this conversation without talking about the cost. Compare the cost, LPG, wood, and kerosene. Okay,
kerosene is one of the most expensive hydrocarbons. As I said, it wasn't designed to be burnt in a wood stove. The only reason people have seemed to be able to afford kerosene is the massive amount of subsidies that the Nigerian government has been applying to this. And following the riots of this January, I think we are all agreed in this country that we cannot afford to be spending that amount of money subsidizing such a highly inefficient fuel and a fuel that is killing so many of our people. So going forward, kerosene subsidies are going to disappear and the real true cost of kerosene is going to hit the poor people. LPG costs you 800 naira to refill.
Okay. Mr. Obukun, this is a huge task you are taking on here, sensitizing the people about the need for this drastic change in mindset. How do you intend to achieve this?
Well, Ryan, it's a big task, you're right, but we're a big company. And we're also people passionate about doing the right thing. We will initially start with a massive awareness campaign. As part of that, we have partnered with Access Nigeria Project. There is a lot of work that's already been done with all the stakeholders, Nigerian Labour Congress, the Farmers Association. The Ministry of Environment is taking the lead on this. The Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Resources is taking the lead on this, all the way to the President. Indeed, it is something that the leadership of the country is interested in. At our level, we're in schools, we're in hospitals talking about this. A lot of information is going on. We're making the products available as well. So we're going to almost every state in the country. We're making the product available. Cylinders are being manufactured as we speak to make them available. Billboards, radio jingles, we're on TV, we're on NTA. So, you know, it's what we're doing is we're leaving no stone unturned. What we're doing now is similar to what happened many years ago for pipe-borne water, when the world was switching to clean water. That's what we're doing now. We're switching Nigerians to clean cooking fuel.
I need to ask you this. Are you in partnership with government, or you're simply complementing government efforts?
What we're doing is we're partnering with strong companies like Oando to deliver something that Nigeria needs. It would have been easy for us to go to government and ask for government to come up with a big amount of money to support access. What we're doing is we want to show the government what can be achieved when Nigerian companies and Nigerians work together. As we've already said, we've partnered with large organizations, Nigerian Labour Congress, the unions, the police cooperatives, and a lot of other large organizations. For example, the women's organization RAPA, they're coming on board. So next Tuesday in Abuja at the International Conference Center, we're going to have a massive stakeholder dialogue where everybody will come together and would state this demonstration of firm purpose and united purpose. And there we are going to answer a lot of these questions about access, about making this finally and truly available to Nigerians, so that you don't have to put up a large amount of money to be able to afford to cook with LPG. But I'll tell you something more important, which is that the rich people already use LPG. I can tell you, if you didn't know, that the president uses LPG in Aso Rock. What we're saying is the poor man should be able to use LPG. It is affordable, and we will make it accessible to him, working together with the oil companies.
You did spoke about efforts and things you're doing already in this direction. Would you be able to tell me a date, a time frame when you think you'd be able to get a majority of Nigerians to make this switch?
I mean, it's a 2 to 5 year project. So we started this year. We started in January. LPG has always been sold in Nigeria, but this major push, working with Access Nigeria project, started in January. And what we've done is that we've made about 500,000 3 kg stoves available, and that's the stove with the burner, so that you immediately take away your kerosene stove and use the LPG version. You don't have to buy anything else. Our goal is to ensure that 20 million homes over a 5-year period switch successfully. I must say that there's a lot of support from the government, because some of the gas that we make available is actually produced by the Nigerian refineries, and it is sold to us by the PPMC. So that Nigerians can buy gas and use gas. So there's a lot of support from the government as well. So we've started already. The cylinders are available. They're all over Abuja. They're in Kaduna. They're in Kano, Sokoto. They're in the middle of the country. Jos, Yola, Mina, Makurdi. They're in the east, Port Harcourt, Warri, Aba, Asaba. And they're in Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osogbo. It's all over the place.
All right, we'll take a short break now. Don't forget, it's Nigeria Today that you're watching. In a moment, we continue our discussion on how to help conserve the Nigerian environment and save Nigerian lives by getting Nigerians to use liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. Thank you for remaining with us. Our program is Nigeria Today, and my guests, Mr. Jerome Okolo, Director, Access Nigeria Project, and Abayomi Awobukun, CEO of Oando Marketing PLC. They're still in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Now, come along as we continue our discussion on what these two groups are doing in effort to achieve a transition from kerosene to LPG usage in Nigeria. I'm curious, what are you bringing into this project that is different from what government is doing? Mr. Okolo?
Thank you very much. Something else we're doing, we're bringing a lot of creativity into this situation. In the past, government has always concentrated on the macro environment. Let's get an LNG to deliver larger quantities of LPG into the Nigerian economy. Let's get the refineries working again so they can produce more LPG. Those are absolutely essential things to do. But we're also doing some things which government might find difficult to do. We're creating an environment where a member of a union could, for as little as 2,000 naira, take home not just gas, but gas, the cylinder, and a stove. And they can be cooking that evening with an investment of just 2,000 naira. We are also partnering with all the states, especially in all the areas that are affected by deforestation and desert encroachment. So we're going to be working with those states to have a reforestation program so that we can recreate some of those environments that have been damaged by excessive harvesting of firewood. And we're going to be partnering with a lot of people in the rural areas so we can train them to be part of this new system. Just like you have the young girls and young boys who sell recharge cards to support the telecoms boom, we're going to train people to go out into the rural areas and the low-cost housing areas and the densely populated suburbs to teach people how to use LPG, to actually distribute the new tanks, which are portable, which are more attractive, which are going to be supplied in such quantities that nobody will be far away from a supply depot.
Mr. Obukun, is government subsidy on kerosene a problem to this development?
Let me say that I think the government has shown that it is interested in removing the subsidies. The subsidies are indeed negative. They're negative to the country, they're negative to the switch. The reason is because we spend in excess of $4-5 billion subsidizing kerosene, and that money could have been used to build roads, to build schools, to provide power. And I think we have to credit the government for the interest to remove the subsidy. What is different now is that there is a product for people to fall back on. Previously, you talk about removing a subsidy, but you don't say what people will then use. And we're happy that now this product is available, LPG, in the right size of bottles. So the kerosene is an issue, subsidy is an issue, but this is a good time to remove it because there is an alternative that is better priced, better for our health, better for the country.
I guess this would be a very good point where I ask how much LPG is Nigeria producing? How much of it are we capable of producing as a nation? Say in a year, for instance.
Oh, Ibrahim, Nigeria is an LPG-rich country. You know that we have the NLNG trains. And as a matter of fact, the government's commitment to local use of LPG is in excess of 150 million liters, 150,000 metric tons. Well, last year, Nigeria only consumed 120,000. So there's enough LPG to use for all Nigerians. Ghana, next to us, consumed 400,000 tons. Ghana consumed 3 times our quantity. Ghana's population is 25% of Nigeria's. And so the government has provided the LPG via the NLNG, okay? And what is left is for Nigerians to switch. It's the education, it's the support from Access Project Nigeria and companies like Oando, and what you're doing today, the NTA and the radio stations, that's missing. There's LPG, I assure you.
There are issues with jetties and roads, I suppose. Now, how much of this is a problem and how much of it have you taken into cognizance?
The beauty of LPG is that LPG is a gas, but it's transported as a liquid. So you actually are able to transport a very large amount of LPG on a tanker. So in a country without the requisite infrastructure to pump natural gas around, it's the perfect energy source to take around such a country. It's actually within Oando's capability to ensure that LPG gets to every part of this country. So as I said, it's a win-win-win. And let me just add something else. If you look at the map of Africa and look at the countries that are not using LPG, Nigeria is amongst those countries who do not have any hydrocarbons whatsoever. And countries like Egypt, who have no hydrocarbons, are amongst the highest users of LPG, which is a disgraceful situation to be in.
I'm sure you agree with that.
Well, I agree that there's a lot of work, a lot of ground to cover. According to the World Bank, the demand in Nigeria is over 1 million metric tons. Nigeria is at 120,000. So we're 10% of where the World Bank expects us to be if everybody switches. So there is a lot of room, a lot of room. Over 90% of the households in the country use kerosene, firewood, or charcoal. And like Jerome has said, we are a company that distributes up to 25% of the fuels used in Nigeria today. We have our stations all over the country. We have our retailers. What we're trying to do is to leverage that infrastructure to ensure that there is LPG near you. In addition, Ibrahim, this will create jobs. Because what we're also doing is that we're selling the cylinders with a loan to people who want to resell, to ensure that up to the guys who sell, who have small shops at the corner streets, they can resell the products. So this is an empowerment product as well. It's not just for health and all that, but it creates jobs and feeds people.
Production of cylinders will naturally add to the cost. I don't know what plans you have for local production of such materials and other accessory that goes with that.
And we're working with the Nigerian Content Division on this. Because you see, at the moment, there are production facilities in the country, but power drives them out of business. They're uncompetitive, and they're not able to produce the bottles as cheaply as their counterparts in India. So one of the things that Access Nigeria Project is doing is working with us and some stakeholders to ensure that in every geopolitical zone in Nigeria, there is a significant production facility that ensures that the bottles and the accessories are produced here, and they're produced for Nigerians, by Nigerians, at a price Nigerians can afford, and to the quality that we can all be proud of. So there's a lot in that direction as well, local production.
Mr. Obukun was already talking about some of these benefits. Let's go into specifics now. The benefit of switching from kerosene, for instance, to LPG.
Okay, well, there are many, many benefits, but I will give you some very interesting ones that many people don't even think about. The proliferation of poor quality kerosene in our country is a danger to aviation. The fact is that because of the fact that people use essentially aviation fuel, which doesn't meet aviation standards as kerosene around the country, allows such poor quality fuels to be available in the country. If we were to switch from kerosene to LPG, the government would automatically insist that every jet A1 fuel that comes into the country must be aviation quality immediately from day one. So you wouldn't have the chances of poor quality, i.e. kerosene, being diverted to the aviation sector. That's one. Number two, the amount of money we are spending on kerosene subsidies, that money really, I'm sure the Ministry of Finance can tell you other ways we could spend a few $1 billion if we could take that money out of circulation, out of that particular use. Then the most important one really is the one we've spoken about, the amount of deaths that kerosene causes due to indoor air pollution and the amount of carbon monoxide that is produced within where people live. And the last one I want to point out to you is really that kerosene actually produces very, very little heat. When you burn kerosene, the amount of heat you get is not high. So as my grandmother would tell you, and she's a very good physicist, you can't cook beans on a kerosene stove. And she's right.
I'm interested in areas like opportunities for investment and employment generation.
If you look at the LPG value chain, because Nigeria hasn't used enough LPG, a lot of things are just being invested in. So for example, we don't have enough LPG transportation. So that's a huge area for investment. We don't have enough LPG plants, plants that refill the bottles, a huge area for investment. We don't have enough trained LPG technicians. You know that the bottles, filling the bottles, handling the bottles requires some skill. If you go to India, Pakistan, Indonesia, you will see that a lot of those people are well trained. So huge area for development there as well. As far as job creation is concerned, one of the things that we want to achieve in partnership with Access Nigeria Project is ensure that we employ people who will do the reselling of these cylinders and stoves. So sales and marketing opportunities also exist.
Let me ask you quickly, both of you, what are your expectations from government as far as this project is concerned? Briefly now.
There are certain roles that are only for government. Government has to provide a very, very firm regulatory environment. We want government to set the standards. There are international standards that we could domesticate immediately to ensure that poor quality cylinders are not allowed into the country. To ensure, for example, that there is a ban on cross-filling, so that if a company like Oando has invested in cylinders, it should not be possible to use those cylinders with another company. That allows, in many countries in the world, companies to go in and offer cylinders for free. And like in the telecoms world, if you buy a handset from Vodafone in the UK and it's cheap, then you would not be able to use that on a different network. Government can also help us a lot in making sure that the infrastructure to distribute LPG around the country is brought up to shape.
Mr. Obukun, do you think price regulation would also be necessary in the long run?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that price regulation helps any industry. I believe that LPG is better value any day than kerosene that is regulated. I believe that one of the things government can do is to remove the subsidies on kerosene, allow LPG to be the domestic fuel, and in addition, the government should legislate, the right part of the government should legislate that all federal, state, local government parastatals only use LPG. The Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, the navy, all our hospitals should only use LPG. They shouldn't use kerosene and charcoal. Our schools use LPG. So by the time those laws come in and they're enforced, we're already 50% of the switch. So that the government can do to boost our efforts as well.
All right. That's all we have time for on this edition of Nigeria Today. We would like to end by thanking my guest, Jerome Okolo, Director, Access Africa, Access Nigeria Project. Thank you so very much for your insight on this very important issue.
Thank you very much, Brian.
I'd like to also thank the Chief Executive Officer of Oando Marketing PLC, Mr. Abayomi Awobokun. We truly appreciate your contributions.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for watching Nigeria Today. My name is Ibrahim Adra. We'll see you next time.